Hey, Brooke, I just wanted to check in and see if you can hear us. You're showing as unmuted, but you're not visible on our screen, even though you're logged in. Just want to see if you can hear us okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good to go. Awesome. Thank you. We're just going to get going here in about a minute.
Sure.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the Agriculture Development Committee meeting to order at 12:46 p.m. I would like to recognize that we're conducting this meeting on the traditional territories of the Shot First Nation and the Hoopa First Nations. Notice to attendees and delegates that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed through YouTube to the regional district website. We'll start the meeting off with introductions. So I'm Heather Zenner. I'm the Manager of Administrative Services for the Regional District, and we'll go to my right.
Hi, everybody. My name's Alex Dyer. I'm the General Manager of Planning and Development.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Needham. I'm the Sustainability Planner for the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District.
Good afternoon. Akama Penny-Cote. I am the Electoral Area Director for Sprout Lake on the ACRD and member of the Ag Advisory Committee.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Stevens, and look, and I work with Alberni Valley Food Security Society.
Hi, everyone. I'm Patty Palmer, and I'm here representing 4-H in the Valley.
Hi, I'm Heather Shobe, Eden Tree Farm and Gardening.
Hi, I'm Joan Priestland. I'm here representing Hupatchisic Community Farm.
Good morning, afternoon. I'm Tanya Shannon from Shannon Farms.
Hello, I'm Sarah Reimer from No Reimer Raisin Farm and also the President and Market Manager for the Spirit Square Farmers Market.
Hello, Helen Snetti. I am with the Board of Education. I'm the trustee representative for this committee.
Ann Siddle with the Administrator for the Alberni District Fall Fair.
Russell Dyson from Coleman Meadows Farm and also a member of the Ag Advisory Committee.
I'm Wayne Smith, local farmer, Farmers Institute Director, and on the Ag Committees. Anything to do with farming interest, to do with food security, that's my main passion, especially Vancouver Island grain. So,
thank you. We'll go online. Director Boyko.
Fred Boyko, Electoral Area Director for Beaufort. Thank you.
And Brooke.
Hi, I'm Brooke Eschuk. I'm a Planner 1 here at the ACRD working on the official community plans.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So next we're going to move on to election of chair for the Agriculture Development Committee for the remainder of the year. There are only 3 meetings left in this year, so I'm hoping that somebody might step up to be the chair of this committee for these 3 meetings. So I will call for nominations for a chairperson for the Agriculture Development Committee.
I'd like to nominate Helen Zanetti.
Helen, would you accept the nomination?
I would think that a local farmer or someone in the biz would be more appropriate. Should someone not step up? And once I say that, none of you are going to step up. So I'm just going to encourage someone else that's more knowledgeable about this to step up, and then can I wait to make my decision, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll call for nominations a second time.
I nominate Russell Dyson.
Yeah, he's not an actual member of this committee. So I'll call for.
I suggest we make Russell Dyson a member of the Agricultural Development Committee.
Good try, Heather. So I'll call for nominations for a third time.
How about Joe? Any interest? Come on. Yeah, you just got here. That's perfect. Jump on in.
You don't want to do it?
What would the role entail?
So we just need somebody to chair the meeting. So the agenda is in front of you, and I can certainly help you for today to guide you through the process. It's not hard, and we're here to support you. Yeah, there's only 3 meetings.
I can't. If nobody else will take on the role, then I will do this.
Well, so if there's no other nominations, I'll declare Joanne the chair for the rest of the year. And then perhaps somebody might nominate Helen for vice chair.
I so nominate.
Okay.
I accept.
Okay. I'll call for nominations for a second time. I'll call for nominations a third time. So there being no further nominations, I'll appoint Helen Zanetti as vice chair. Good job, everyone. So, Joanne, what we do is we'll move on to number 3, approval of the agenda. And at this time, we just would like to ask the committee members if there are any additional late items that anybody would like to bring forward. And I do have one late agenda item from, is it Stephanie? Yes, Stephanie from the Alberni Valley Food Security Society. So that was emailed out to you this morning, and there's paper copies here. So we will talk about that under item 12I. So the committee would make a recommendation to approve the agenda as amended. And then if there are any other late items, now would be the time to bring them forward. And if not, so Joanne, you would ask for a nominee or a resolution to adopt the agenda as amended. And just remember to use your microphone. So just ask for a committee member to make a resolution to adopt the agenda as amended.
Can I ask for a committee member to adopt the agenda as recommended?
I do.
Seconded by Sarah Reimer.
And then Joanne, you can just ask for all members to raise their hand if they are in favor of adopting the agenda.
All members raise your hand if you're in favor of adopting the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, so number 4 is declaration. So if anybody has a conflict of interest on anything on the agenda, they would bring that up at this time. So if you have any conflicts, I don't see any. We don't have any invited presentations. So the next item, Joanne, is the delegation. So we do have a staff member online, Brooke, who's going to provide a presentation. So you can just invite her to speak.
I'd like to invite Brooke to speak.
All right, I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see, what can you see on your screen there?
Nothing yet.
Oh, that's a problem. Okay, hang on.
It's coming. Yeah, it's good.
Success? Okay. Okay. Again, my name is Brooke Eschuk. I'm working on the official community plans here. We're here today to talk about Sprout Lake and agriculture, the agriculture sections in the official community plan. So our land acknowledgement, it's with respect and gratitude that I'm here today from Sashada and Hupetchisitt First Nation traditional territories. And we strive to follow their example as we walk gently on the earth and build relationships as we go. For some reason, my notes are not with me. Okay. So in this section, we are wrapping up phase 4, create the plan. We've completed the mapping, the objectives and policies, and the team have provided several opportunities for community engagement, including a second survey, a few open house or an open house, and several pop-up events. And so we've really tried to check in with the community as we have gone along to make sure that we're going in the right direction and making adjustments to correct course as we go. Okay, so the plan area encompasses about 36% of the entire Sprout Lake electoral area C. So in the map, you can see the shaded area. This area here is electoral area D, and the area within the dashed line is the plan area. So it encompasses all of Sprout Lake and a good portion of Great Central Lake. We have several provincial parks and regional parks, as you know. And important to note is there are, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Hang on. There's about 2,100 hectares of agricultural land within Area D, and that's the most of any EA other than Beaufort. Also important to note that the plan does not have any jurisdiction or authority over First Nations lands or privately managed forest governed by the Private Managed Forest Land Act. Okay, so the OCP is divided into several sections. The agriculture and food security objectives and policies can be found in section 5.8 of the Sprout Lake and Area OCP. The community vision and goal statements are at the beginning of the document in section 3, and they really guided the development of the objectives and policies throughout the plan. Goals and objectives and policies are intended to support the achievement of the overall Sprout Lake and Area community vision. So the goals for agriculture for Sprout Lake and Area are listed in section C, and were developed after community engagement with community groups, individuals, and the public, finishing up in 2025. The goal statements provide a framework for implementing the Sprout Lake and Area vision statement. Each goal statement represents a key theme or a focus area that came up throughout all of our community engagement sessions. So the goals include support for agriculture locally and regionally, support for reducing barriers, supporting Indigenous food sovereignty, supporting the development and processing, supporting the development of processing facilities, and preserving water and water quality. The agriculture objectives expand on the goal statements, and that's really to achieve what is important to agriculture in Sprout Lake and Area. All of the objectives and policies in the OCP align with one or more goal statements on the previous slide. Objectives include collaboration and partnership building, strengthening food systems, and promoting sustainability locally and regionally. There we go. So into the policies now. Where am I? Sorry. The objectives expand on the goal statements to achieve did I do that? I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not used to presenting with two different screens on. I missed that. There we go. Okay, so policies are intended to provide specific direction to the ACRD Board of Directors, staff, developers, and community members regarding the land use priorities for Sprout Lake and Area. OCP policies support opportunities for collaboration with First Nations and neighboring municipalities. Agriculture policies are divided into regional and local food systems and food security, as well as agricultural land reserve and water quality and protection. Section 5.8.3 deals with local food systems and food security. This group of policies are intended to support the local agricultural system. So encouraging ethical landscaping, farm workers and processing, traditional harvesting, emergency planning, and the overall structure of agriculture regulated in the regional zoning bylaw. So there are 2,100, roughly 2,180 hectares of ALR lands within Sprout Lake and Area D. These policies are intended to prioritize agricultural land uses on ALR lands. So preserving the segmentation and reduction of ALR lands, protecting the viability of agricultural lands, and supporting the increase of ALR lands within the plan area. So finally, the Alberni Valley is getting hotter and drier, which makes water availability and water quality more important for efficient food system. Section 5.8.3 deals with water availability, quality, and protection. This group of policies supports the implementation of the Alberni Valley Agricultural Water Plan, supports the regional water planning efforts, and protects water quality for wildlife in environmentally sensitive areas. So we're nearing the end of the public engagements for Area D here. We're planning a town hall and open house event in the Sprout Lake Community Hall on May 4th at 5:30 to 7:30. So please come out and chat with us about the agricultural section here in the document that we've just talked about, or the entire plan in general. We'd love to hear from you. There'll be a questionnaire at the event, and Let's Connect, where you can let us know where we've gone wrong or what we're doing well. And then we continue to meet with the APCs. We have a meeting coming up here on the 27th. Yeah, so you can find us on Let's Connect, and you can call us anytime or send us an email or reach out to Amy if you've got any further questions. Thanks.
So Joanne, you can ask the committee if they have any questions for Brooke.
Does anybody have questions for Brooke? Go ahead.
Brooke, thank you very much. And thanks for all the work of staff and others and the participation of the community to provide input. I've got a couple of things, maybe a couple of comments and then a question. And that is the policies with respect to discouraging subdivision in the ALR, yet I believe the regional district actually has 5 and 10 acres as a minimum parcel size for lands in the ALR. And I don't think that in itself is a good policy if our intention is to support larger parcels for the purposes of farming. And as a member of the APC, we saw this recently where an application was made for a subdivision of lands adjacent to the ALR. And the current policies of the regional district enabled through parcel averaging the establishment or the creation of 1 and 2 acre lots immediately adjacent to ALR farmland. Now that hasn't materialized. It still will require a decision of the Agricultural Land Commission, but it just points out that our current policies really do not discourage subdivision. They in fact encourage it. And why is this an issue to farmers? Because in rural areas, 5 acre parcels, 10 acre parcels adjacent to farmland will need water. They will inevitably drill wells and otherwise. They will affect drainage, and they will create rural neighborhoods immediately adjacent to farms. So I think it is a real serious matter, and I would like to encourage really specific policies that provide direction to the regional district on that. That's my comment. And then my question is that I think you mentioned that private managed forest lands don't apply or OCP policies don't apply to them. And I'm just wondering whether we currently have a good inventory of what those lands are. I think it's very important for the context that if we develop these plans and policies, that any potential changes should forced companies want to develop those lands or otherwise, that context is recognized, and that those lands should be subject to the policies and standards that we as a community are setting for our community. Thanks very much.
I'm actually going to let Alex answer that question.
Thank you, Brooke. I was waiting for that. We do not maintain a list of those, but the province does. So the Private Managed Forest Lands Act, restricts our ability to enforce things like riparian area protections and all that sort of stuff. But there are cases where those lands are removed, and we have seen that in the past where Mosaic has sold lands for private development, for example. So the OCP doesn't exclude those areas from the development permit areas or any of the policies. It would just restrict us from implementing or enforcing any of those rules. So I think that we have the flexibility within the policy wording in the OCP to enforce the land use designations and the development permit areas on formerly PMFL lands that Mosaic might sell. But I also recognize that it might be worthwhile for us to do a bit of a mapping exercise to see if we can identify those lands as they sit right now. And we could certainly work with our GIS on that. It's good feedback. Thank you.
Anybody else? Wayne?
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about what Russell has said. I really agree with this. Next to agricultural lands, there's potential for, a working farm to really be aware of the density next to it. Because I can take you around the island to some of the places I've been, and you can actually see the outcome, what happens when you get a fairly dense population right next to it. I mean, you can have 100 great neighbors, but if you can have one that is in complaint, it's an issue. And we see this all the time in the news. So I really agree with Russell on that.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Okay, we'll move on to the adoption of last meeting's minutes. But before we do that, I just wanted to talk about how we take minutes at these committee meetings. So last meeting, Heather, you had made a request that a conversation from the November ADC meeting be added to our minutes. And I just wanted to clarify that the board adopted a new ACRD procedure bylaw earlier this year. And this bylaw sets out how the board and committees conduct their business. And it sets out a standard for taking minutes. And so we don't record discussion at committee or board meetings. We record resolutions, and we record a short description of a discussion that leads to a decision. So it's capturing the main points of a meeting, but it's not going to capture all discussion that occurs at this committee or at the board table. So we have a standard, and we try to apply the same standard for all of our committees. We've got over 20 committees in the regional district. So so I just wanted to make that known as well. If there's ever a question about what was discussed at the meetings are recorded. They're also live streamed, so you can go back and watch the meeting should there be a point to you want to rewatch. And I also just wanted to remind the committee that when you're making a resolution, you're making a recommendation to the board of directors. So the resolution would be that the Agriculture Development Committee recommends to the board, blah, blah, blah. And as well, Director Boyko sits on this committee, and at tomorrow's board meeting, Director Boyko will be asked to give an update on what happened at today's committee meeting. So really, if there is something that you wish to be brought forward up to the board, you can verbally share that today and ask Director Boyko to bring that forward at the board meeting tomorrow. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about that, but I just wanted to clarify that we wouldn't be going back and adding the November discussion to the minutes. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
I'll just comment quickly, Heather, and I appreciate that. And I realize that, you know, it's difficult to get everything. I just looked through the minutes from the last meeting and, you know, like we go through the reports and there's primary producers that say something and then everybody gives their blurb. And in the minutes, there is like a little blurb about the things that people say. So just, I can't remember off the top of my head who had brought that up and how it was, or when it was presented, but I think it was like one of the blurb things that a producer brought up is, this is something that I'm bringing up as part of my chance to speak. And so then it wasn't recorded. Even if all the discussion, etc., isn't there, I think it still was something that somebody brought up during their designated time to say something that they wanted to say. So that's my comment. And I guess we'll just see where things go from now on. Thanks.
Thank you.
I was just curious, if someone felt strongly about the point that they were making, could they ask that it be added to the minutes specifically at that time?
So at the end of this meeting, you do have the opportunity to present your member reports, and at that time we'll capture things that are important to your organization. So if that's relevant, then we'll capture it there, but not elsewhere on the agenda.
My question would be, will the verbal report from Director Boyko be the only report that the board sees, or will they see the minutes?
They will see the minutes just because the meeting is tomorrow. A verbal report will be prepared and then these minutes will be received at the following board meeting.
Sorry, just another question. So I'm assuming the entire minutes in the packet, everyone's presentation is also forwarded to the board then, is that correct?
So the agenda package is on the website. The board is welcome to look at it, but we don't forward this agenda package to the board. It's on the website for them to see should they choose to. So Joanne, you would ask that the committee make a resolution to adopt the meeting minutes from February 17th.
Okay, can we make a resolution to adopt the minutes from the last session? This is the date.
So approved.
All in favor? Are you rather have somebody else do?
You're doing good. And then the next section on the agenda is new, and this is new from the new procedure bylaw that was recently adopted. We have an opportunity for the public to ask questions prior to the meeting, but we do not have anybody in the audience and we don't have anybody attending online, so there won't be any public input questions, so we can skip over that section. And then Joanne, the next section is correspondence for information. So it's there for the committee to review. And then if you can ask the committee members if they'd like to discuss any of the agenda or the correspondence.
Does anybody want to discuss any of the correspondence for information? Yes, Amy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So there's just a few things that are included in here because, well, I asked for them to be included. So I just want to draw your attention in case you haven't zeroed in. I know it's a lot of information, but this is really our chance to bring forward things that happened kind of in the quarter preceding the meeting. And so it's kind of like, you know, the social media situation where if you're not interested, just keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. But I did wanted to pass on a really cool, like I went to the Coastal Invasive Species Forum in Nanaimo because invasive species, they do make up a surprising amount of my work, whether it's in regards to agriculture, food security, or climate. Invasive species are a concern across the board. They just are. So at the forum, the Capital Regional District actually came up with a rating system for invasive species within the Regional District. And I just wanted to put that in there as information because it's a really, really interesting way that they have of classifying invasive species with regards to kind of their importance, almost like triaging, you know, like how devastating is the impact of this? How much is there already in the Regional District? And what is the potential for it to really start to take over? So I just wanted to draw your attention that if you kind of skipped over it, it's quite interesting, if that's your thing. And the other thing that I wanted to draw attention to is there's a program put out every year by the Ministry of Agriculture and Food, and it's the Knowledge and Technology Transfer Program. They keep it up until the funding has all been subscribed, but basically it's a chance for not just governments, but you know, non-governmental organizations, not-for-profits, people like that to host events and have it paid for. So knowledge transfer, right? So you can host a workshop or you can host a webinar or something like that on a topic of interest to you or your membership, and you can invite people to come and attend this knowledge transfer workshop, and there's funding available. So I just wanted to bring that up in case someone's been having a workshop kind of floating around their not-for-profit or something like that, an idea, but they just can't squeeze up the funding for it. It is an opportunity to have it funded if it does have a kind of an agriculture, food security sort of side to it, because it's the Ministry of Agriculture and Food. So I just want to bring those two up. Thank you.
Can I ask how you go about accessing that funding?
For sure. You have to turn off your mic so it comes back to me. There you go. There we go. Okay. So if you go into the agenda, which is online, you can scroll down and it has the program guide in there, which kind of outlines how you do it. Generally, the Ministry of Agriculture website is your best bet for these things. And I think this is actually administered by the Investment Agriculture Foundation, I believe, which is the premier grantor of pretty much all of the ministry's grants at this point. So anything that comes through the Ministry of Agriculture that's funded provincially or federally and provincially goes through the Investment Agriculture Foundation, IAF. So if you go to their website, you can see the programs that are open. And then in there, literally all of the information, including how to apply, is on there. It lists who is eligible, it lists who is ineligible, it lists everything that you need to know. And you can always reach out to me too. If you've got an idea and you just can't seem to get heads nor tails of it, because granting sometimes can be a bit of an issue, then let me know for sure. And we can walk through it together, or I can help you for sure.
Thank you.
Quick question, Amy, on that invasive species, which I find really fascinating, but impossible to identify the million different grasses that are invasive. Is there anybody out there that specializes in coming to your property and helping you have a clue what on earth everything is?
What a great question. If you haven't reached out to the Coastal Invasive Species Council, they are a great resource and they do have staff that are employed. They're stretched for capacity, but if you have specific questions, they really do their best to help you. So if you've got issues on your property, my first recommendation would be to reach out to them via, there's an email on their website, so it's the Coastal Invasive Species Council, and send them a query with pictures attached, because pictures are free. Send them pictures. Ask if there's a way that to key it out to identify it properly and your concern. So it's spreading really rapidly, or my sheep ate it and all of a sudden they were sick, or anything like that might help them. And they're quite good. They're the ones that hosted the forum. They host it every 2 years and they're quite knowledgeable and really up on their game.
Thank you. I have a question going back to the knowledge and technology transfer program guide. How do I ask this? So ineligible organizations are individual farmers or individual processors. You have to be an industry association or a nonprofit or a farmers institute or a local government or Indigenous government or community. Has anybody asked why a farmer or an individual business who's probably had like multi-generational information and knowledge and experience wouldn't be able to offer this or apply for funding for this? To me, that doesn't make sense. I think that would be a great opportunity that's really being missed here.
I think I understand what you're saying. That's a great query. I think the issue that the provincial government has is the transparency and crossing the line between a knowledge transfer and someone who's marketing their product. So if the funding was available to an individual farmer and they had a great idea for something they wanted to market to a group of people, they could potentially apply for funding, introduce their product, and then make money off of the sale of that product. If they had like an invention. Sorry. But the definition of a workshop, if they're showing how their new product works, then perhaps it could be used that way. It's a way for them to get away from an individual marketing their, like for their own for profit. It's meant for knowledge transfer from like a farmers institute. So if you were a farmer member and you had something of passion that you wanted to have a workshop on, an opportunity would be a farmers institute is available. Their membership is available to all producers. So they could take it through their farmers institute and say, hey, I want you to host a workshop on this. Apply for the funding, we can have a workshop on this. And then it can be for like all of the Farmers Institute members, or it can be for all producers, or it can be for anything like that. But I think the provincial government is worried about the opportunity for someone to leverage their funding for like a business's for-profit gain if they are trying to market like a new invention that they have, or, you know, no one's ever thought of this before, and like, come to my workshop and I'll show you how it's done, and then you can buy it from me, kind of thing. So it just kind of circumvents kind of that by pushing like towards a not-for-profit who would have a terms of reference that and a board that would guide them in that to make sure that everything's kind of on the up and up. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I think that that's kind of, you're trying to protect something, and I get that. But if it's specifically a knowledge sharing workshop, I just really think it's a missed opportunity. And like, yes, you can worry about something like that happening, but couldn't there be a greater good of getting more of that knowledge opportunity out there? And we're talking agriculture and farmers, and we're always talking about how can we support farms and farmers and how they can do different things. It just seems a little counterproductive to that idea.
Yeah, I can totally see how it would be that way. The best thing I can offer is that we do have a great Farmers Institute that's in the area, and they have in their mandate to support agriculture exactly this way. They're a great resource to get things like this off the ground. There's also other entities that sit at this table, depending on the topic that you have in mind. As an individual farmer, so if an individual farmer has an idea of a workshop they'd love to get on, doesn't really fit with the mandate of the Farmers Institute, perhaps it's through marketing for the Spirit Square Farmers Market. Perhaps it's more food security and less traditional agriculture because of the Alberni Valley Food Security Society. There's these entities that exist that it's really great to support and go through them, that they're already established with, you know, people with that passion and people with that knowledge. And then it just goes out from there, and you have support built in instead of an individual farmer feeling like they're on their own trying to like apply for a grant and hold a workshop and things like that. The more you can leverage things that are in place like these entities, it's going to be a better event for sure. If you have any ideas though, like, do you want to talk afterwards? Like we can.
No, sorry, I don't have any specific ideas. I just think there's a missed opportunity of a direct farmer knowledge to people that want it without having to include a bunch of other people and a bunch of other steps to make something happen, to just get funding to be able to do it.
With respect to the knowledge and technology transfer program, I would like to suggest that at another meeting, we talk about the potential of applying in order to conduct a field trip next February, because the deadline is February of 2027. We would invite all the newly elected politicians from the regional district and the city, as well as senior staff and other community business leaders. We would pick maybe half a dozen of our farms. We would tour them. We would talk to them on the bus about the issues that we're facing, the value of the ADC and the advisory committee and such. And I know this isn't new, right? The ACRD has done this before, and I know other regional districts have done it, and it's just very timely upon the election to educate the newly elected and include business leaders as well as senior staff. And so I'd like to suggest that we have that discussion as this being a potential funder for such a program, if you agree.
Can I comment on that? I think it's a great idea, Russell, and I agree that would be a great thing to do. I believe, from what I remember about the knowledge and this grant, it's only for transfer of knowledge to other producers. So they're like, yeah, if we're not teaching the government people how to be farmers, then we won't fund it. So you have to find a different grant for that. But I do appreciate the idea.
I think Amy's right. I think that's a really good subject for the Farmers Institute to really get into. I've never thought much about the knowledge transfer, but you know, a lot of the farms here have got a lot of knowledge, and I think we should really focus on adding that to our agenda list for this upcoming year. I'd like to talk to you a lot more about that.
I like the idea too, like, because Tanya, I think you're so right. Like, it's the added additional layers of like bureaucracy and meetings, and how do we take to this? And then the Alberni Farmers Institute has to talk to their membership, and it's just like, I just want to teach people how to make a basket or whatever they're making with their homegrown products. And what I would also like to see in the grant process is like, Wayne, for example, if the Farmers Institute is interested in doing something and they could put forward a application, it would be so nice to see something like, we're going to host 4 workshops throughout the year with local farmers teaching their things, and then not have to have every single detail ironed out for this grant application before they submit it, because that makes it very difficult. But then through the year, we could just say, oh yeah, we have money. Tanya, you want to do that? Yeah, we've already got this funding, and let's put it on. That's kind of, probably I'm barking up the wrong tree, but maybe somebody's listening. I don't know.
So the way that the governments work, they like to put money to a known entity. For example, the health network, the money doesn't go to the coordinator, it goes through the regional district with a contract. So I think it has to do with contracts, and rather than directly with a farmer that may not be recognized to be able to sign the contract for follow-up, just because of the way that government runs.
So if there's no other items to discuss, Joanne, there's a resolution in the agenda that the Ag Committee receive items A through I for information. So somebody would make that resolution.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Carried.
Perfect. And then there's no correspondence for our action. And then the next item is a request for decision, and you can just invite Amy to speak to that one.
Okay, Amy, I'd like to invite you to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Turn off your mic. May I say you're doing a fantastic job. Fantastic. This is a lot for anybody who just walked through the door. So thank you very much. The request for decision is in regards to, hopefully the committee members have been working on a series of plans for the last, seems like forever, but it was only about 1.5 to 2 years. And I am super stoked that the plans are completed on time and under budget, and they were received by the board in December of 2025. If anyone's interested in the full documents, they're both linked in the agenda, and they're also on our website. There's a dedicated agriculture page on the ACRD website. I'll do a little plug. It's chock full of a lot of information, like a great ton of information that came well before my time, that was stewarded by people, you know, the pillars that ran this committee before I came along. And most recently, these reports have made their way on there. The final reports are there, as well as background reports and what we heard reports with regards to engagement. So the plans were really a result of grant funding that was applied for. They were fully grant funded, and there was a food security emergency planning grant, and there was also an agricultural water infrastructure grant for agricultural water plan. And in the interest of not letting the plans sit on a shelf. That's something that it seems like we struggle with policy documents. No matter how good the policy document is, life is busy, our jobs are busier. And if a concerted effort to focus on the implementation portion of these plans isn't made, they run the risk of sitting on the shelf, and all that good work will not be realized. So this request for decision is before the committee just to open a discussion on the implementation portions of all 4 of those plans. So there is the Alberni Valley and West Coast Food Security Emergency Plans. There's also the Alberni Valley Livestock Emergency Plan, and the Alberni Valley Agricultural Water Plan. And that's a significant amount of reading. They're large policy documents. There's a lot of ground to cover, pardon the pun. And so there's a lot here, but I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that even though like my position will be the one that's primarily responsible for driving the implementation and assisting and collaborating with and helping with the implementation of these plans. And my work plan is already set for 2026. We had to have it done. And so by the time it, it got received by the board and then it made its way through and now it's here. Yes, my work plan has already been set for 2026. And let me tell you, she's a doozy. So I'm good. But at the same time, by looking through these implementation plans, there comes to the fore, there's some opportunities that perhaps can be achieved without additional capacity, so without another of me, and without additional budget. Budget has already been set for the year, so the financial plan's already been adopted. That perhaps, even if things happen at what might be considered a slower pace, they can still happen. They can still be progressed. You're a great committee. The committee members here are passionate and committed, and through the work of this committee, through the work of things like the AAC, so the Agricultural Advisory Committee, the Coastal Foods Roundtable, which is the working group out on the West Coast that's subject to this committee, there's great work that can be done. So bringing these forward, you'll see as if everyone wants to check out the wording of the draft like the recommendation on page 56, it's worded that way to allow for progress, even when work plans are full and budgets are, they're in an era of fiscal restraint. So the other thing that I wanted to recommend, just as a nod to Heather's present little note that she made on how to kind of advance things that you are interested in advancing, if the committee would like to make a recommendation to the ACRD board to give further direction for That's why the resolution is worded the way that it is. So I just wanted to point that out, that the wording of the resolution on page 56 is that way for a reason, so that the committee can make a recommendation to the board, and then the board will make the decision to direct staff or direct budget. That's their job. So the other portion is the addition in there of, we don't often know what grant opportunities are going to come. Sometimes, you know what, we're as surprised as you are at the grants that come. And if I've already been given previous direction to watch for grants on certain portions of the implementation of these plans, certain priorities that say the committee has made clear or the board has made clear to me, your priorities are such and such, watch for grant opportunities. If the direction is already there, a grant comes up, if you can apply for it, if it's not going to increase the work plan beyond capacity, then absolutely apply for it. That's why the grant application sort of portion is in the resolution. So happy to discuss or take any questions that you may have.
I'd just like to say thank you to staff. The amount of work that went into these plans is amazing. Came to the board and I couldn't believe what came forward. So thank you for that. It's amazing. And to be able to start working on any piece of it is just amazing. So thanks for these plans. They're great.
Thanks. I just wanted to pretty much echo what you just said. I've been so impressed when I receive all these emails about, oh, there's a new invasive, there's a water, learn to farm better, and I want to attend some of them, but anyways, I just wanted to say the information sharing is wonderful. I'm not a producer, farmer, but if I was, I really appreciate that. So the ACRD and the board investing in your position and the previous positions that were like that is, I think, invaluable. And having this forum to share information is fabulous. So yeah, I am
echo what Amy was saying, that, yeah, you do all this work, and if it's not gonna get used, what the heck are you spending all this money and time on? And I hear you all speak so passionately about, all these topics, so I totally agree with this. And is the motion's the one on the agenda, correct? The recommended motion though, correct? So I'm gonna read that out to make the motion that the board, pardon me, that the Agricultural Development Committee requests that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to implement the Alberni Valley Food Security Emergency Plan, West Coast Food Security Emergency Plan, Alberni Valley Agricultural Water Plan, and Alberni Valley Livestock Emergency Plan as collaborative partnerships and grant opportunities arise. I want to second that.
I will second that. And
Was any further discussion? All in favor?
Okay, so the next section is where each member of the committee provides a verbal report if they haven't already provided a written report. So you can go through the list one by one.
Start with Amy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm not going to reiterate everything that's in my report because it's quite wordy. Sorry, I told you I was working on a lot of stuff. So, but I am going to just point out maybe a top level highlight of a few of the points that are in there. So if you remember back to the February meeting, if you attended or watched it online, the committee had requested that I track down a delegation for this meeting from CFIA to talk about the traceability rules and the changes that are potentially coming. And man, I contacted a lot of folks, and some of them I was like roundly ignored. And then some of them, some of them reached out and just, I put the blurb in there, I'm not going to read it out, but I put the response in there. And then there's also a more official response included in the information items, basically saying everything's on hold. So don't worry, we've been talking with people for a long time, but nothing is happening or proceeding right now because everything's on hold, but they don't want to speak to it because they don't want to potentially talk about things that could be coming down the line, but aren't because everything's on hold. So I took that and said, okay, but there's also some great information out there if anyone is interested on some, kind of more official CFIA notifications. There's presentation there, but then there's also from the cattle side of things, because it does seem to have really ignited within the cattle industry, the traceability of things. The Canadian Cattle Identification Agency created their own presentation for the cattle industry, and I put the link in there as well. So just wanted to highlight that. I didn't forget about your request for the delegation. I promise I did my best, but unfortunately it was not to be at this time. So I will keep it in the back of my mind. And if and when I signed up for the CFA updates, there's a link in the agenda as well. So if and when I hear about them firing this process back up again and they're starting to move on these updates, then I'll reach out to them again and see if they can't delegate to the committee at that time. And then I just wanted to draw attention to the AVICC convention is happening here later on this week. And there is, the board did carry forward a motion for the resolution that was put forward by committee members here regarding agritourism accommodation exemption, because they're under the ALC Act and regulations, exempt them from the short-term rental registry. Again, layers of bureaucracy. If it's already under the ALC Act and regs, take it out of the short-term rental registry. So I had hoped that the timeline would allow me to report out, but unfortunately it's happening at the end of this week. So that'll come at the next meeting. But I did want to just segue that into the fact that after AVICC, which is the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities kind of regional local government group, UBCM, which is the Union of BC Municipalities, which is the province-wide group of municipalities, that is also accepts resolutions, and the deadline for that is June 15th, which is before our next meeting. So if anyone has a resolution that they'd like to bring forward to UBCM, please do reach out. Oh, yes, Beth.
Thank you. I just wanted to, from my experience, my comment on that is that we did resolutions before ABICC because the preference is that these resolutions go through all the steps. So anything going before June 15th would be more of an emergency resolution going straight to UBCM.
That's correct. As far as I've been told, confirmed with Director Cote that anything that is passed onward from ABICC goes automatically to UBCM, correct?
It does, but things are changing. The province is not wanting to see a whole bunch of resolutions coming forward anymore. ABICC is limiting us to 3 resolutions per local government. And that's an issue. When you've got 14 members that sit at this board, 4 First Nations, 6 rural areas, and all we can, and 3 municipal or 3 incorporated areas, all we can put forward is 3 resolutions. Mind you, the incorporated areas could also put forward, and I'm not sure about the First Nations. It hasn't been completely settled, but ABICC is going to be having an education session. UBCM is coming to all the associations, there's 5 of them around the province, and talking about how they would like to see the resolution process move forward. And then they want, out of their the resolutions that do come in, they want the top 3 to 5, and that's all they really want to work on. So it's going to be relying back onto the associations, in my opinion. Right now, ABICC, we just did a strategic plan talking about how we're going to be dealing with this new way of UBCM mandating such a limiting amount of resolutions to be coming forward. So we'll see how it fleshes out. It's about all I can add right at the moment, but I still would say put your resolutions forward to your local governments.
Did the province, when they announced this, have an alternate way they wanted issues brought to them if they don't want resolutions?
The province told UBCM this is what they want to do, that you can't prioritize 50 issues. So what are your top 3 to 5 issues that you want to prioritize to? So through the UBCM association, backing it up top down, instead of bottom up, they're trying to be able to prioritize things. In my opinion, it's going to be your local government. You're going to be relying on the people at this board to bring issues forward directly to ministries. Bypass the association, bypass UBCM, and go straight to the province, to the ministry in the future. Thanks.
Another thought, if the province wants less feedback. Another route, I suppose, which is actually at risk and not really taken advantage of or allowed to be taken advantage of at this point, is that the Farmers Institute Acts actually does state that Farmers Institutes will be able to have I think it's something like having a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture and Food every year in order to bring forward their concerns about agriculture. So it is another route for agriculture to get directly into a minister office, and that would be going through the Farmers Institute locally and then through the District A Institute, and then they would be the ones, I suppose, fighting to get that legislated meeting with the minister. So just another thing that we could work on.
There may be opportunity going forward for subcommittee or committees through UBCM and working with the province, but it's not directly through the associations, the way that the process has been working. All resolutions, UBCM still wants resolutions to go through the associations to UBCM, for them to vet out what they're gonna do. So, that's still the process, but it's being limited.
Are they also limiting meetings during UBCM with local governments?
Not yet. But last year, we were very limited because, they accepted the, minister and staff appointments before UBCM by a certain date. But then when it came time to actually go to UBCM, we were very limited because there was a strike on and there was no desk to sign up for any meetings. So, it was very frustrating.
Just one more thing to pull out from my report. So there was a delegation a while back to the ADC from Kwantlen Polytechnic University on a big project that they're doing on bioregional food systems. We're in the thick of the workshops right now. And so I just wanted to draw the committee's attention to the point in my report that talks about the second two workshops, the last two workshops coming up, May 7th and May 28th. If you can come in person, great. They are really great and interactive. The facilitator has been doing this a long time and he's super passionate and everybody's super passionate that's there. But never fear if you can't make it. I know things are busy. You're right in the thick of the season. There's follow-up emails that will come out. One's already come out. There's another one to come for the second workshop that allows you to fill out a questionnaire that basically covers everything that was covered at the workshop so that you can still have your voice in this project. Because at the end of it, there's going to be quite a comprehensive policy document that's not just looking at the HRD, not just looking at the electoral areas. It's actually going to be looking at Vancouver Island and the food system on Vancouver Island as a discrete entity because we are cut off effectively by water. We are an entity unto ourselves. And sometimes when supply chains are threatened, you can feel very, on your own and things like that. So it's quite a cool thing to be a part of. If you do have the time and capacity, I really encourage everyone to come on out to those last two if there's an ability to. And if there's any other questions, I'm happy to take them for my report. Otherwise, on to the next. Oh.
Thank you very much, Amy. And I hesitated giving you compliments previously about all the work that you're doing because we want you to work that much harder. No, it really is great. Yeah, so that. But thanks for this and thanks for the board's support of the ADC's recommendation regarding the city referring ALR applications to it. And if you can provide any updates as to where that the specific proposal that sort of brought that on is at. But before you do that, I just have one other comment, and that is on the well monitoring. The province isn't going to drill a well, so I'll advise you that I'm going to bring forward a report for the ADC's consideration at its next meeting, where I will propose that you ask the board to consider drilling that well. But in the meantime, I'm wondering if staff might be able just to look and see whether or not you might have a well that qualifies. The regional district in all of its services might have a well that might qualify. And I would ask everybody on the committee just to take a look at that bullet from Amy's report and the criteria required. Can we think of there being an existing well that we could offer to the province as a monitoring well? So I'll bring forward a report, but just ask us all to do a little bit of homework as to imagine whether there may already be an existing well that might qualify. So I'll leave it for your answer on that previous question. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Russell. Sorry that I actually had that point on the ALR and the AAC review and recommendation highlighted, and then I didn't talk about it. So you called me on it. So the board carried a motion that the city of Port Alberni be requested to refer all ALC applications within city limits to ACF for input. That had just happened at the previous meeting. So the next steps is going to be to send a letter to the city requesting that the ALC referrals to the AAC. So basically the background on that is that there is agricultural land reserve, not much, but it exists within city of Port Alberni limits. And when the way that the referral process is set up from the Agricultural Land Commission, they refer to the governing municipality. So if there was an application made on those ALR parcels within the city of Port Alberni, the referral request would go to the city of Port Alberni. And so effectively bypassing, they don't have an agricultural advisory committee, which would comment on any of the ALC applications that are coming to within the electoral areas. So the request is going to be put forward in a letter to please refer all ALC applications that do go to the city for those parcels of ALR that are within the city. Please do refer them to the AAC just to get the agricultural side of things. Maybe there's impacts that they haven't considered because that's maybe not their forte. And so it's just another avenue to kind of protect that ALR land and ensure that there's kind of a producer's voice on it. So that letter is in draft, and as soon as it's done, it will be sent off. I just had a question whispered in my ear, so I will update on that too. There is no update that I can provide on the status of the application. There was a request by this committee to have someone from the Campus of Care group delegate. And again, I did not sleep on that. I was in furious not furious as in angry, but furious as in lots of back and forth with the rep from the Campus of Care committee or society. And they were on the cusp of delegating to the committee, and something changed, not at liberty to say, but something changed back in the background with the application. And they're like, no, there's something happening with the timeline and it's premature at this time. So again, as soon as that gets ironed out, and if the parcel under discussion for that project is still on ALR at the end of everything, then I have it on my calendar to bring them back to a future meeting as a delegation to discuss that project.
Russell was talking about the well, about whether there's a well around that could act as the monitor well. I do know a little bit about this, and I think you can actually get all those records because there are well logs in through Fife and all of the other drillers around they have to maintain. So I think that would be a good resource to do that if we can find it there. I think we've got people have numerous sites where we can monitor.
I have a question, I guess, for Amy and the group. And maybe it's related to the last agenda item, the request for decision, but it wasn't really about the request for decision, but just in general about the implementation plans. And also the budget. So I noticed one thing in the report that there's a $25,000 budget for agriculture set aside. And I'm curious, I suppose, is there a process for deciding where that goes? Is that something that people could make requests for? How much might be available for local projects? And how, if somebody wanted to try and access some of that, how would that happen? I'm assuming that something like the Family Farms Day and the Growers Guide are coming out of that budget. I know there's support for that, so I think that's fantastic. But if there's other small projects like similar to that, is there a process, or is that strictly for staff to use that budget? And then the other question, which is related, I think, is that in the request for decision is very broad, which is good and fine and probably necessary. But you also spoke about like prioritizing, or what is our priority? And I'm curious whether there's any, is there any process for determining what our priorities are so that we as a group or you as staff have that kind of determined, which would then help to spend the budgets and those kinds of things. So that's my general question, is the budget and the priorities. Do we need to set those? Are they set? What's going on?
What's going on? I agree. Really good questions. And I mean, that's exactly the leadership that we want this group to give us, right? And so what that budget supports right now is really all of the work that is guided by this group. It's Family Farms Day, facilitation of the Coastal Foods Roundtable, support for the ADSSS, how many S's are there? Food Security Society. And then a lot of the little things that we do throughout the year, the Islands Egg Show, the support for the fall fair. So we don't have there's no application process to get access to those funds. That is a number that we have come to that helps supports all of the work that we've done. But having said that, I think that, as we are adding all of these action items and completing these plans, we're looking to do more things. We'll be looking to this group to help guide us in building that budget. We build a budget every year, so we have the flexibility, and by next fall and next winter, we'll be looking at how much money we'll need to accomplish the goals that the board wants to achieve in that following year. So I like the idea of keeping these action items on the agenda and using it as a bit of like almost a strategic planning exercise for us to look at priorities. And I don't want those priorities to come from staff. I really want it to come from this group, because you guys are the experts in that. We can help facilitate it, and we can figure out what the budget might look like and where that all fits with the board. But it is really at the discretion of the experts on this committee. So we can work on that. I think we can always come back with some more information on what that might look like for the rest of the year here. But I certainly think that fourth meeting of the year that this group has would be a great opportunity to really look at what do we want to achieve as a regional district in 2027, and is there any adjustments in the budget that's needed to accommodate that for that helps.
Okay, just to follow up, to clarify, are you saying that the $25,000 is already allocated specifically? Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Great, thanks. And I guess just follow up to my own thought is just that I think we can do so much with such little amounts of money, just individually, if we can just go out and do what we want to do. Like, I know Spirit Square Market needs a cooler or freezers, because now that's the law regulation that you have to have a freezer on your table if you're selling meat. So they want to buy a couple of $300 cooler freezers, to support farmers. Another thing I've noticed, there's, the idea of the year-round central farmers market, which is great. And it's big, like that's big, but, also supporting just the markets that are there. And maybe we could have a billboard that everybody coming through town sees that says, here's the market here and here's the market there. And these are really small scale, just we need $1,000 to do some of these things. So while it's fantastic to have, well, I won't even say it's fantastic. It is one avenue to have these really large grants that take up a lot of capacity and create these huge reports. It's also something that's very, very useful just to have $500 to do something in the community, and freeing up some funding for those things to happen without the process of grants. And that is another thing. And maybe I'm off topic, but hopefully that's related to the implementation plan and the budget that is in Amy's report. Thank you. That's all.
I just want to mention the ACRD Grant and Aid program. We're accepting grant applications until April 30th. So the Grant and Aid program is available to registered organizations, nonprofits, who provide a benefit, whether it be social or economic or recreational or environmental, that benefits citizens or people in our region. So there are two different categories. So less than $500 grants can be applied for by folks that aren't registered organizations. So really small initiatives. So if you're looking for a freezer that's $300, that would certainly fit into that category. We do have larger grants that people can apply for. I'd be happy to send out the link to everyone. I know that some people in this room have already applied or will apply for these grants. Just want to make it known that those are available for you.
Thanks. And that's a great point. And yeah.
So I'd like to make a recommendation to this group to make a list of what you'd like to see. If it's just a fund that you could apply to annually for things that come up, to be put into the budget in the future. Also recognizing that most likely the new board, next year, it will be looking at a new strategic plan, prioritizing where they want to, prioritize things. We have one right now that was created, through a strategic planning process where we looked and saw where things should go and how we should prioritize things. So if there's something that goes to the board so that they could actually see, like, yes, this fits in here, that would be very helpful for them.
Thanks. Curious about this budget. This is the first time I've heard about a $25,000 budget for this committee to make recommendations on. So, can we have the budget presented to this committee and they could just look at it, or the plans for what the budget is, and then we can make recommendations to change it or to agree with it to go forward to the directors who then can pass it or what have you, because I don't know how we're supposed to provide input directly to that budget without having seen it or and I think that would also staff would be able to give the committee, who are a group of people with great intentions, but sometimes, you know, they've got lots of going on, but they could give us some direction, perhaps say, this is what we're looking at spending the budget on. What are your thoughts? Or is this a good plan? And then all these smart people here can say, that's a great idea, but we don't have water. I don't know. That's a great idea. We don't, there's regulations that are prohibiting that. We need to look at a policy change therefore, or what have you. So I'm going to ask that if the committee wants, I don't know if I need a motion or you tell me, but I think it'd be great to bring the budget here before it goes to the directors, who then will make the final decision, so that we could have better guided discussions and you could get better input from this valuable committee.
If I may, Madam Chair, I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think a motion to that effect would be a good idea. To be clear, it is the board's budget, right? So that $25,000 budget number has been the same for many years now, and it is to support all of the ongoing things that we've done. But I do think it's a great idea for us to, as we build it out next year, because that's another opportunity for the committee to say, well, you know, something has emerged that's really important to us, and we need an extra $1,000 to deal with it, right? And we need to know that early so that we can build that in the budget process. So thank you for that.
So I'm going to make a motion that the proposed budget be brought forward to this committee with time to allow for discussion prior to going to the board of directors for approval.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Motion to adopt? Anybody opposed?
Oh, one more thing I'll just pipe in case you don't know how much I appreciate. I do think that the ACRD's kind of ongoing support of the things like the Family Farms Day, which has been going on for many, many years, and now the Growers Guide is so valuable. And so that's exactly the kinds of things that really make a difference for the community, and that I'm wondering how may we be able to expand on that. So, yay!
Okay, on to the next point, primary agricultural producers.
I stepped in. Well, partly I just wanted to, like, if I'm not here next time, it's because Joe might have killed me for appointing her as chair. So sorry about that. But I owe you, Joe. And on to farm business. I am finally, once again, 16 years ago, I started and I had my little farm stand open, like actually twice a week. This spring, I'm going to have it open again once a week on Fridays from 10 to 1. I have tons of little seedlings and stuff like that. So it feels really nice to go back to my roots. It's a little bit different than a garden center because it's not a garden center. It's actually a farm. But if you go in the nursery section of the farm, It looks a little like a garden center, except for maybe not so tidy. But anyways, that's my news. Yeah, and repeating the time for Steph. Fridays from 10 till 1, always by appointment also, as per forever.
I just had a question as an addendum to that. Are you by chance listed in the farm fish and forage directory that is now hosted on the Alberni Valley Food Security Society's website? So people can find you anytime.
Yes, and as Steph pointed out twice, because I'm also with the Alberni Growers Collective and at the Spirit Square Farmers Market.
Heather, just for the minutes, what's the name of your farm?
It's Eden Tree Farm and Gardening. 6220 Karen Place. Fridays, 10 to 1.
Friday?
Only in spring. I'm making this like time limited. Time limited, right? I can do this.
Looking at me. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, so at the cabin, our agritourism space at Shannon Farms, we have our first market of the year coming up on Sunday, May 3rd from 10 to 1. And because our product we can't sell, like our milk goes down to Victoria. But for anybody that hasn't been out to one of our markets, I try and round up some neighboring farms or any farms that reach out that want to join us. And we just have a spot to host everybody to have a market. I do a handful a year, and that's enough for us. And then we are forging ahead with our 2 culinary events this year to highlight and support local agriculture and fishermen. The first one is happening on July 25th. I'm working with Martin Dean of Neck of the Woods Catering. He's doing both events. The menu is ready and tickets are online on sale already for the July 25th event. And the second event, the long table sit down dinner in August, that one, the menu should be wrapped up this week and hopefully next week have tickets available for that one too. There's limited seating at both events, but it's one that we're really enjoying hosting out of the farm. And it's I'm actually working with Alberni Valley Tourism a little bit on this one too for the culinary events and the agritourism and Vancouver Island Market or Vancouver Island Tourism as well. So that's fun. But I mean, as far as the agritourism is concerned, from like mid-June to mid-September, all our weekends are booked on the farm between culinary events, weddings, and guests visiting the farm tours and staying at cabin. Thank you. Oh, and we just let the cows out for the spring. Everybody likes the milking part of it. The cows are out till October.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm a little bit, I kind of talked about it last time, but I'm a little bit concerned about the haying situation this year. A lot of us have still got barns full of hay from last year and the year before. So, I'm really concerned there's going to be a lot of fields not getting cut this year again because there's just surplus amounts of hay due to the fact that there's no cattle left. We're in the calving right now and, my little place has got a few cows now and there's almost none left. And I'm one of the few beef farmers that are sort of got the guts to hang in there for another couple of years. We're talking about the traceability things that are driving a lot of people out of the business right now. So, I'm kind of concerned that there's a lot of feed out there that's not getting utilized. So our farms, their capabilities are just going to be turning into fields of broom, and eventually the forest will take it back. And if we don't have wildfires, it'll just race right through all that dry tinder. So I don't know what the answer is on that. We need to get, it's my hats off to anybody that wants to hold on to their cattle. And there's a few of us that are holding on to our calves. We're not selling them. We're using them for breeding. We're just trying to keep the herds here.
Just wanted to ask if the Farmers Institute just maintains a list of their membership that has excess hay in case anyone's looking for it. Maybe they have horses, maybe they got sheep, maybe they have other, animals that need it. Is there that kind of list? Can they contact you to get a hold of people that have excess hay?
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, we do, we know who's got hay but I have the advantage of with my grain business, I'm all over the island. So I'm into a lot of different places. So I'm talking to a lot of different farmers. I see what they got in their barns and, so, we're not going to run short of hay this year. But then again, like Russell and I were just saying, we don't know what we're facing this year. If it quits raining here next month, we're going to have a problem by August. Again, a lot of that hay will start getting used up. So there may not be concern, but I'm just basing everything on usually what happens. So let's just see what happens. But I think that it's always nice to have hay left in the barn but I think that it's sort of getting out of hand. There's just no place to sell it. And nobody wants to make square bales anymore. And the horse people that are left don't want the big round ones usually.
Yeah, I'd just like to say something as well. Wayne's quite right. Beef numbers are substantially down, not only in Canada, but the US. I think it's at a 75-year low. So don't expect prices to go down. Even just a couple of weeks ago, bottle calves were going for $2,000 a piece, just to give you an idea how the market has gone. Live weight prices are the highest they've ever been. But as Wayne says, a lot of guys are retiring, getting out of the business, and of course, young people can't afford to get in. So again, the traceability thing has been an issue. I'm glad to see that beef associations across the country came forward saying that we already have a system in place that works well. We don't need something that's even more work for people. I don't know how the cattle ranchers on rangeland would be able to monitor things the way they've suggested. We want to be outgrowing food, not chasing paperwork, where there's already enough paperwork. We're producing as much as we can. We've got a list that we're still working through, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down, which is great. Great support from the community for locally grown product. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? We don't have Pat Deacon here today. We're skipping by that. Okay. Helen?
Thanks. I attached the report if anyone has any questions.
That's all. Okay. Island Health. Nope. No, okay. Okay, Alberni Farmers Institute.
Okay, we don't have much to report. We have our coffee meetings. It's an initiative we started this year, and it's actually really good. It's just an open opportunity for anybody to come down and meet with the farmers and just have a coffee discussion. We're having our next one on May 3rd at Collins Farm. It's from 1 till 3 in the afternoon. Anybody can come down and listen to what we got to say, and it's actually been pretty well supported. We get a lot of really good ideas. As far as what we've got going on, there's one initiative we're working on, and I'll have more report at the next meeting on that. There may be some more details come out at our coffee meeting on May 3rd, but that's about it for right now. We're still pretty active, and so I think we've actually gained a little more steam in this last year. Mostly to do with the regulations. We're sort of getting a little more banded together. So I think, I see that we're going to be here for a long time yet.
Albany District Welfare.
I actually provided a report, but neglected to put on it that we do have a summer market on July 17th, and applications are open now on our website. Most of the vendors are crafters, but it is open to producers as well. Any questions? Hearing none.
We don't have Anna Lewis. Oh, perfect.
Apologies for the late submission there, and thanks. Yeah, let's go with that. So if anyone has any questions on the recent addition to update. let me know. We've got a few things coming up. Basically the farm fish forage, we're just gonna talk about that. Everyone can take a sticker, spread the word. And the growers guide will also be I think their print date is May 6th, so stay tuned for that. But if anyone has any questions.
I just want to say thanks very much for the directory. It's phenomenal. Beautiful pictures of some of the farms as well. And we really appreciate you promoting our farms and what's available. So thanks, Stephanie, to you and your group.
Well, thanks, Russell. It's really easy to get good pictures of foods and farms.
Ditto. And also, I'm glad you got the summer student funding again. And just a question, does that run out as usual at the end of August?
Yeah, I think September 1st is the deadline. So we're gonna hope for an early fruit ripening season so we can get as much of that time utilized for our gleaning coordination. But yeah, it doesn't quite align.
Okay, I'll just say that was one of the other things in that $25,000 budget. I was like, this is so crazy. The gleaning project runs every year and it runs out of money in like September, October when all the fruit's ripe. So that's I would love for you guys to get some funding for that, like that extra season to hire somebody a bit longer term. And yeah, so good luck.
Thanks, Heather. We've got actually a couple applications in. Cross your fingers.
Okay, moving on. I guess it's my turn next. Thanks for having me. I don't really know what I'm doing in this room. I'm used to being on my own in a field, so apologies for being awkward. So I run the Hupatchisic Community Farm, and so they've asked me to come along and kind of represent them. It's been pretty much a regeneration project since I started there 2 years ago, and we're actually in pretty good shape for the start of the season this year and hoping to expand quite a bit this year. Everybody's welcome to stop by and have a visit with us. We like walking around and chat with people, so please do that. Yeah, we're getting some chickens coming up pretty soon here and all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely trying to expand what we're capable of doing this year and just feeding more of the people for more of the year. So yeah, thanks for having me. Next.
I have a question. Are you guys doing the food for the members, and are there any other outlets, like any public access, or is it just for members strictly right now?
Right now our mandate is just feeding the members and basically expanding on what we're capable of producing for them at this point. We haven't been asked to expand beyond that at the moment, but we would be capable of doing that in a little while here if we needed to, and that became the expectation. So yeah, but at the moment we just really want to feed the band.
I just wanted to highlight to the committee, there was, if you remember, a greenhouse production and propagation course that was grant funded that came around last year. And the partnership was really great between North Island College and the ECRD and Hupatchisic Community Farm, because they hosted it and it was fantastic. Joanne was amazing and instrumental in the success of that program. And I know a few of the people that took it have really, the stuff they took away from it. I've seen some of the plants that were propagated there, and they're large and beautiful and bushy and love and life. And so it was definitely an awesome initiative, and we're so grateful to have you at the table, even though you were, chucked into the deep end. Right off the bat. We're very grateful to have you here. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you. We're good. Okay, moving on to Eat West Coast.
Hey everyone, I'm so sorry. I wanted to be there in person, but my car broke down and I just could not get there. So I'm sorry not to be there in person. I have 5 updates, 3 quick. The first is many of you might know that North Island College has been reducing their programs. And unfortunately, our West Coast office has been closed. And um, yeah, it's pretty disappointing because we have a partnership with them for a new kitchen. But Camosun has stepped in. Camosun College has come out to the coast and they are willing to support horticultural and culinary programs. So we're in talks with them. So I just want to share that. Second, one of the big issues with Tofino and especially some of the offshore communities like a Pitsit and a Howsit, we are really struggling to get funding for emergency food support that relies on generators. So we can do as much as we can to do storage and support for food, but getting funding for generators is incredibly difficult. So we have a working group on that. If anyone has any suggestions, we'd be happy to hear from you. Third quick one is compost. The compost purchasing is at the West Coast landfill it's too much money. It's $5 for a small bin. It's more than the cost of just going to the co-op and purchasing a bag of a compost. And we are looking for ways that we can, like, especially considering how much it costs to pay for the compost pickup, like your bin and your service. People are really not happy with that service. So we would love to explore ways with the ACRD to reduce the cost of compost. Because you can just literally go to the co-op and buy a small bag for $2 to absolutely have to drive out to the landfill, the cost of the gas, and then pay $5 for a small bin. It's not working for people. So I'm hearing a lot of complaints about that. Third is, of course, water. We are still dealing with water issues and drought and how to deal with that in terms of the policies regarding food production. A few years ago, we actually had a subsidized program for people to install rainwater collection at their homes. We would love to find ways to explore that again, explore ways for rainwater collection systems at people's homes. I know I personally benefited from that program and it pays for my garden. So we'd like to look at that. And then finally, the big one that I'm spending the most time on is policies regarding food infrastructure. So with the District of Tofino, with Toloquiet, and District of Ucluelet, we have had a lot of problems with people wanting to install significant greenhouse infrastructure, and that is not really it's in a gray zone of policies, as much as the districts are saying they want to promote food growing and they want to promote growing. And there's also bylaws in terms of accessory infrastructure. None of those cover greenhouses. So we're in a bit of a gray zone when it comes to, like, if you want to build a greenhouse, does that fit within the infrastructure bylaws or is it within the food promotion area? I don't know. It's a bit of a difficult situation. So anyway, so those are the major issues. If anyone has any questions or advice, we're happy to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on.
I'll just say, I'm really sorry about the college. And is it Bill? Was he still there? That was like,
No, he's retired.
yeah. Okay. And
No,
anyways, in
he's-
college, I did a bunch of courses
I
at that college.
know.
Like, oh my
They
God, it
closed
was
the
so
office.
many
We literally
decades
have
ago.
nothing. We fortunately had Camosun come out this week and to talk about horticultural and culinary programs that they'd like to support. So that's good news, but obviously we'd love to find a way to have North Island College come back.
Yeah, and I just will also just say that's crazy about the greenhouse thing. And I don't have anything off the top of my head, but if I remember any old bylaws and stuff, I'm sure you've got more current knowledge than I do. But
Yeah, it's
gotta
just like
be some way to be able to just build a greenhouse. That
well,
doesn't
it's
go
so
away.
frustrating because obviously there's so many greenhouses in the region, like that are just built and no bylaws or permits needed. But now we've had some ones going up on commercial properties, and all of a sudden districts are like, oh, that's an accessory. We need to be within the bylaws. But none of them actually explicitly talk about greenhouses. It's like these accessory buildings, but greenhouses are not part of that. But yet they are trying to promote more I don't know. They're very hypocritical, I would say.
I can jump in on that. That is really good feedback, Erica. And I would note that we are undertaking some building bylaw updates this year. Actively working on where we're just launched it last week here internally. But one of the things we're looking at is exempting simple structures from building permit requirements. We already exempt simple structures on lands that have our farms and registered as farms with BC assessment, but we're looking to expand that a little bit more to mostly capture greenhouses, but also temporary tent structures and things like that. So I think some feedback from this committee, maybe a motion from this committee, if there's an interest in that, would be helpful for us as we look to bring forward some amendments to the board for discussion later this year. Thanks.
Amazing. Thanks, Alex. Like, yeah, like taking that example would be really helpful in my arsenal.
I'm going to suggest, Erica, that you make a motion to that effect about adding the greenhouses to the plan exception.
Yeah, I think greenhouses should be exempt for sure. I'd be happy to make that motion that accessory buildings, greenhouses should be exempt. I know it'll take a lot more work to that trickle down to the municipalities from the ECRD, but whatever I can do would be great.
I have a question about that. How big? Because greenhouses can be very small or very large. So
Right. So that's very well, that's the thing is that we don't know because there is no direction, there is no policy on the sizes. So I have been working with groups that are between 20 feet to 54 feet in diameter. And I like there is no policy, like there is no direction about what these greenhouses can be and what the difference between residential and commercial properties are. There's just literally nothing right now. They're just making it up as they go along.
And I think from the staff perspective, we would be recommending a scale. I don't know what that looks like yet, but it would be exempting the smaller structures, more residential sort of hobby farming focus, and perhaps requiring something more for that, that commercial scale. I would also highlight though that if that is a farm that has farm status through BC assessment, they're exempt already on certain aspects or certain uses of those buildings. So I don't know if I don't think you'd be exempt if you have staff in there and you have people working, but we would work with the building inspectors on that. And when we recommend these updates to the board, we will be coming up with some level of scale. I wouldn't offer a number right now. Yes, Tim.
Thank you
Yeah, that's
so much.
amazing. Thanks, Alex. I just would like there's literally nothing right now. Like even if they had like a residential versus commercial, if they had a size allocation, like up to this size, like but there isn't anything right now. So it's just every single time is a total new situation.
Is for Alex. Yeah, so how would we get the input on that? On the sizes, or, you know, where would you receive the input? How to come up with the guidelines as to sizes and all that?
Yeah, so we don't, we haven't reached out to anybody yet. And like I said, we have some internal discussions about some updates we'd like to make. I think some input from this committee would be helpful if there's any ideas there. There is a motion on the floor to that effect as well, but I would recognize that Tanya's been waving over here, so I'd like you to get some airtime before you have that discussion.
Thank you. I was just going to ask, because if we make the recommendation to the board for an exemption of greenhouses, depending on what that scale is when it gets there, like in Erica's situation on the coast, that would be to the board, that would be for the like littoral areas, but would there also be, or as part of the motion, that when this goes to the board, that there's that collaboration with the municipalities, because she'll be dealing with Ucluelet and Tofino to adopt a similar one, so it actually benefits and helps the situation that she's in.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if that can be included in the motion, obviously we don't have control over what Tofino and Ucluelet or the city of Port Courtenay would do, but absolutely, I think if there's some guidance from this group, that's always helpful. And, you know, those, the mayors and the councillors from those places sit on our board. So, I mean, that is an opportunity to collaborate. And I would also say it'd be helpful for the First Nation communities as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. It's a little frustrating when we talk about food security and food sovereignty. If we're growing food, you know, the bigger the better, the more people you can feed with a bigger greenhouse. So I think when it comes to the growing of food and supporting our local communities, I think there needs to be a lot more greenhouses available for people to use. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll be totally honest that I'm working with a group that has been attempting to establish a greenhouse for community purposes. It's 42 feet approximately in diameter, and the district has shut it down. And we were looking for a new place to put it, and it is such, like, we literally cannot find a place to put it that would be acceptable, which is so frustrating. Like, yeah, this has been a big thing I've been working on. And yes, I understand that the ACRD guidance is amazing. It cannot control what the districts do, but in light of the new the community plans for the areas like C and D and such, it'd be nice to be on top of that and make sure that that's included.
Anyone else?
Just to be clear on the motion, because I wasn't sure if we were super clear on it, but would it be that the ADC recommend that the board introduce exemptions for greenhouses in the ACRD building bylaw? Is that kind of the intent?
Can I also suggest that is, I think that is the intent, that says it well, but can I also suggest and that the board ask municipalities to consider the same, that their member municipalities to consider the same.
So moved.
Seconded.
Amazing. That would be incredible.
All in favor? Anyone not? Okay, motion carried. Okay, Sarah, you're up.
I submitted a report already. I got a couple things to add, and then I'm out of here to get my daughter from the bus. We had the young agrarians at our market last week, which was really great. They were right at the entrance, educating people on how they assist people in matching land. farmers or people want to get into it. So they were super keen. Ari lives in Saanich, North Saanich or Saanich or something down South Island, but wants to get back up here and make more partners locally to help facilitate land transfer or usage of farmland. So that was really exciting. May 2nd, which is the second of our plant seedling focused sales. We have the young entrepreneurs from the Heartwood Learning community coming. So that'll be lots of fun. See lots of artisans and maybe some farmers in there too. We're Star from Morningstar Woolen Farm and Flowers. I really should look that up. Has finally gone through all the ridiculous hoops to be able to bring down her meat to sell at the farmers market, which includes mechanical refrigeration, which is a subjective requirement by your local health officer. It's not a mandated law. It's up to them on how they feel about life that day, which I have a lot to say about, but I think is absolutely ridiculous. Either something safe or it's not. It shouldn't be subjective based on how your health officer feels that day. So we have to have plug-in freezers for anyone who has to have meat at the farmers market. So currently we only have one meat provider on an ongoing basis. And so I'm going to share that freezer with Star, and hopefully we can get some grant money to get a couple of portable, easy to use freezers so we can get more protein locally to people after jumping through the ridiculous hoops to be able to get down there. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Sarah. Next, we've got the Doc Plus food processing hub.
Thanks, everyone. Cecilia Addy here with Doc Plus and Port Authority. My report's attached, so of course open to questions. Just add to it that we are very busy down at the Doc Plus. Lots of operations going on, lots of excitement. Commercial prowning's upon us. Nova Harvest is ready to start up their high pressure processor. They've been doing some trials and testing, and we're quickly trying to accommodate their operational needs as they're figuring out their way. Their tests included some shrimp and some oysters, so it's all very good and exciting, and we will see them operating in the next month, actually probably less than that. In May, we will also be hosting an open house where we will be welcoming Minister Lana Popham to the open house to thank them for helping us with that funding. So look for that announcement out there, because we hope to also welcome others from the public to come down and see what it is that we do. And finally, most exciting for me personally down at the docks is that our ice machine is going to be operating. We purchased a new one at the end of last season, and we've been working really diligently behind the scenes to get that up and running and get it to capacity so that we can have a season with minimal interruptions, none, and quality ice. So you'll see us on the docks and hear us on the news and the radios to promote coming down to the dock to buy some fresh goods and get space. Thank you. Any questions?
Katie from Coastal Foods. Nope. Okay. Oh, 4-H.
Oh, I don't think Katie's not here today, but I just wanted to share a couple of notes from her, if that's okay. First is we have the CD Sunday or CD Saturday. Oh, CD, I'm not sure. On May 3rd, we're having our CD
Sunday.
Sunday, okay. I was like, is it Saturday? Okay, we're having our CD Saturday on May 3rd. It's gonna be really exciting. We're gonna have lots of vendors. We're gonna have free compost for people attending. We're gonna have free lunch for everybody. So that's pretty exciting. And then we also had our Coastal Foods Roundtable recently, and we had a great consultation with the Kwantlen Polytechnic University on their island food assessment. And yeah, we had great turnout with people from we had Amy come from ACRD, we had we had chefs, we had community gardeners, we had all kinds of people, and that was really successful. And yeah, please check out Tofino Community Food Initiative for more of their upcoming spring workshops. Thank you.
My 4-H report is attached. The only thing really to add is that we did have the regional public speaking here in Port Alberni on the 11th of April, and it went really well. We've had very positive feedback. We had people from districts all the way from Comox down to South Malahat, which is Saanich and Victoria area. We had 14 speakers in total, and the whole day went really, really well. And a special thank you to the Fall Fair and 5 Acre Shaker for letting us use their facilities. But we've got 39 members this year, which is up again from last year. We've added a few projects, and everybody's pretty enthusiastic. Thank you.
Just to confirm for people that might not know, can you just let us know if people are just realizing the kind of 4-H exists when, and they want to get their kids in it maybe for next year, like when does registration open, or when can they watch for it, or how can they get a hold of you? Like, are you on Facebook kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and we're working on that. There's still a lot of rebuilding going on post-COVID with 4-H all over the province, not just here. But one of the things we really want to try and do is get it out there next year and advertise as much as we can at the fall fair and also in the schools at the beginning of the year, because registration does open in December 1st because our year starts January 1st. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that I had Layla Miller and her mother come out to ask some questions about sheep. She's doing a sheep project this year. So we've invited her to also come out next year for lambing season, give her some experience in that as well. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, marine stakeholders? Okay, do we just move on to other business?
So we can make a motion to receive the reports.
Oh, so make a motion that the Agricultural Development Committee receives the reports. AP. Okay. Motion carried. All in favor? And then other business?
There is no other business, and let me just see if there's any attendees. There's no attendees and there's nobody in the audience, so we can skip past question period and move on to adjournment.
Amy, could you talk a little bit about that, whatever it was we went to the other day, that you had initiative to, what was it, up at the fairgrounds, or not the fairgrounds, but the ballpark? What is that? I went because there was free lunch, and you know, it was, you know, incidentally, it doesn't stack up. That was like a 1 on the scale. This was like a 9. So just so you know, but it was interesting. I have to admit, it was really interesting. One of the things I did learn there that I thought was really cool was there was a representative down there, Tom Joe. He's from Sarita. So, you know, I'm half asleep in this meeting, and as soon as I heard the word Sarita, like I woke up. I worked down there for 40 years. They got quite a little, small little area there that is really highly productive. What they're doing down there is quite amazing. I want to go down and have a look, but maybe you could tell us what that meeting is all about.
Thanks, Wayne, especially for your excruciating honesty on the topic of lunch. So what he was referring to is what I brought up earlier in my report, the Kwantlen Polytechnic University's Bioregional Food System Project. They're hosting 4 workshops in the Alberni Valley, 4 workshops on the West Coast. So Erica had mentioned the Coastal Foods Roundtable encompassed one of those workshops. And again, this is a huge project that Kwantlen KPU is connecting with all of the regional districts across all of Vancouver Island. So they started actually way back in like early last fall down in the Capital Regional District. They've moved their way up through Cowichan, through Nanaimo. Now they're in the ACRD. Because they made contact with me and wanted me to act as kind of one of the core people in the project, the board gave direction for me to work with them. The ACRD is actually having 2 sets of workshops because of the cultural and the climatic and the agricultural food system differences between the Alberni Valley and the West Coast. So we're the only regional district that's having 2 sets of workshops to really highlight those differences in the food system, that the addition of like highly dependent marine systems that coincidentally don't have access to ALR land. So it's like there's no traditional agriculture supported from the provincial level really through any policy in the West Coast because there's no ALR. And the Agricultural Land Reserve is the provincial method to wholesale support agriculture across the province. So how can you still support the food system and the importance of that food system and Indigenous food sovereignty? So the 2 sets of workshops are in process right now. The Alberni Valley ones, the next one is May 7th. The last one is May 30th. And I do encourage anyone who wants to come. It was really great. The second one was awesome too. We're into the 3rd and the 4th. You don't have to have come to the first 2 to know what's going on. Like it just carries on from the last, and everything is very structured really well to guide you through the process. And we're all super enthusiastic anyway, but there's a link and information in the agenda under my report if anyone is interested in coming. But thank you for that extra plug.
I just had a minor question. You kind of made me think of it. And that is, Tom Joe reached out to the Gleaning, and I'm assuming that was due to a conversation maybe with you?
No, that was before. So he made reference in the workshop that he had reached out to Gleaning, but you guys are only the Alberni Valley Food
Yeah.
Security Society. And so basically the conversation was there's highly productive old fruit trees down at Sarita, which if anyone doesn't know where that is, it's outside of Bamfield, so down the inlet on Hooay lands. And so he came to there and he made some good connections there.
Okay.
And we're hoping to point in the direction. I had followed up with an email, and I'm hoping to connect with him around funneling that fruit into the Bamfield community proper and Anakla, because
Perfect.
we learned during Mount Underwood when the road was closed that, I mean, those fruit trees are probably worth their weight in gold when they're coming on and people can't get out to get fresh produce and things like that. So
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
just hoping there was some way we could connect
Yeah.
that through those networking.
yeah, 100%.
That's wonderful to hear. Thanks.
Can I-
Just, oh, sorry, I'd just like to remind everybody that the Sprout Lake OCP open house is May the 4th. I think at 5:30. And also the Sprout Lake Community Association is going to be holding a water fair to talk about water. So I don't have a for sure date. They were tentatively looking at May 21st, but Amy can't be there. So we'll be probably picking in another date right around that time. We'll be advertising it. Thanks.
Just wanted to add one more thing about those trees, those old growth trees down in Sarita. I'm really interested, mostly because these are old growth fruit trees. I'm trying to get the seed, some of the old seed that just doesn't exist maybe anymore. He was saying these trees are like 100, way over 100 years old. The problem with a lot of the modern hybrid varieties that we got here, they just don't, they're just susceptible to a lot of different things. They're not that easy to get fruit off them, and they're short term before they start to fail. So if we could get a tree, I don't care how big it is, just I want a tree to drop the fruit, lots of it.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming, everyone. See you in July.
Great job, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
Oh, bye everyone. Thank you.